Good evening. Today is December 15th, and this is The View with Catherine Chang. Today's topic is President Lai, Xi Jinping, and the defense budget. Taiwan's President William Lai announced a $40 billion supplemental defense budget on November 26, and saying that it is the largest defense budget in Taiwan's history. In addition, during an interview with the New York Times, President Lai sent a message to Chinese President Xi Jinping, and President Lai said that Taiwan is willing to help China address its economic challenges. Here are some points. A. Taiwan's President William Lai proposed a $40 billion defense budget to counter China's threat against Taiwan. President Lai emphasized that this budget is about using strength to secure peace. However, opposition parties have raised objections, and the proposal is still being debated in the Legislative Yuan. But if you ask me whether the largest opposition party, Kuomintang, which is pro-China, will block this defense budget, I will not fully agree. Because one thing remains clear, defending Taiwan is a shared consensus among the Taiwanese people. Even if the opposition KMT want to obstruct the defense budget, it cannot block it forever. B. President Lai is even willing to go to the Legislative Yuan to explain the budget. No Taiwanese president has ever done this before. C. President Lai gave an interview at the New York Times Deal Book Summit, and he publicly addressed the Chinese President Xi Jinping and saying that China should not focus solely on expanding its territory. It should think about how to better care for its own people. Taiwan is more than willing to help China to solve its economic problems. I think it is a friendly gesture from President Lai, but it also highlights a contradiction. China has serious economic problems at home, yet it still continues to pressure Taiwan. Nevertheless, Taiwan is still willing to extend a helping hand. D. I want to talk about a major breakthrough in Taiwan-U.S. relations. U.S. President Donald Trump officially signed the Taiwan Assurance Implementation Act, lifting 46 years of U.S. self-imposed restrictions on official engagement with Taiwan. With the Taiwan Assurance Implementation Act, it raises the question, will President Lai transit through the United States later this year during his possible visit to Central America? We may know the answer soon. Here are the top stories. First, I want to talk about the Chinese and Russian military conducted large-scale operations around Japan. This move is seen as a response to the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Takachi's vocal support for Taiwan. Japanese Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi criticized that China's action went beyond what is necessary and constituted dangerous behavior. Japan will continue to demand the Chinese to prevent similar incidents from happening again. President赖清德also criticized the Chinese attempt to change the status quo, stressing that Taiwan firmly opposes any actions that seek to order regional peace through force. Meanwhile, China accused Japan of causing trouble by invoking Taiwan. We know that during a meeting with Germany's foreign minister, Chinese foreign minister Wang Yi accused the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Takachi of stirring up trouble by invoking Taiwan and saying that there are limits to what can be tolerated. And Taiwan has been locked in by 7 international decisions, including the Cairo declarations. Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs pushed back, pointing out that either the San Francisco Peace Treaty or the Cairo Declaration, the so-called China, refer to the Republic of China, not the People's Republic of China, because the PRC has not established yet until 1949. On the other hand, the Executive Yuan declined to countersign a bill passed by the opposition parties. The revised Physical Discipline Act passed by KMT and the Taiwan People's Party would add roughly $260 billion in annual obligations for the central government, on top of a $300 billion budget increase. President Lai warned that the amendments to the law would further weaken the central government's finances and would force the central governments to take on around $500 billion additional debt next year. The bill will require the central government to allocate billions of dollars in additional funding to local governments and has been widely criticized as unconstitutional. The executive yuan therefore withheld its counter-signature, and the DPP said if the opposition parties are dissatisfied with the decision, well, they can initiate the no-confidence vote, a move that could force the premier of the executive yuan to step down. However, passing a no-confidence vote will lead to the dissolution of the legislature, which would require a re-election. The opposition parties fear that they might lose in the election. Thus, it is unlikely for them to initiate the so-called no-confidence vote. In the end, I want to share with you that Hong Kong media figure Jimmy Lai was found guilty on all charges. Lai, who has been detained for more than 1,800 days, was convicted on 2 counts of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces and 1 count of sedition. The court ruled that he was the mastermind behind these offenses. The sentencing will begin on January 12 next year, and it is expected to take 4 days. Legal analysts say that Lai could face life imprisonment. That will be the view for today, and I'm Catherine from Taipei. Today is Monday. I hope you all have a nice Monday, and I'll see you again.